All right, welcome to the channel. Today, we're going to be discussing here HUD's fair housing rules and changes. I had a hard time getting this live video going, so I'm trying to catch up with it a bit. So, under the federal rules, they're attempting to make some additional changes I'd like to bring up with you guys. And so, let me pull up some of the notes that I've got here for you guys. And so, the HUD is proposing a weaker or removing its own regulations addressing policies for unjustified discrimination and effects. So intentional discrimination remains illegal, but the families may have a harder path when policy causes unequal harm and there is no direct evidence for discriminatory intent. So the fair housing rule changes that they're looking at as a proposed rule that's not final, but it's called the or disparate impact protections to two related areas. HUD's Fair Housing Act regulations and HUD's Title BI regulations for recipients for HUD federal funding, including many of the Housing Authority and HUD assisted programs. The public comment period for this was August 10th, and supplemental proposals should be done or processing for October 9th. I'm going to post a link for the Federal Register for the proposed rule. I guess, a more simple example for it would be the disparate impact rule means that they can change when it appears neutral on the face, but causes unjustified harm and effect on protected groups, even if there is no proof of housing, a housing authority, landlord, lender, or other party intended to discriminate. One great example they're giving is the housing authority adopts a screening and transfer or occupancy, language access, or policy rule that disproportionately blocks protected group from housing assistance. Also, under the disparate impact theory, the policy may be challenged based on effect and whether there is a valid, necessary justification or less discriminatory alternative. HUD's proposal would shift this regulation away from effects that grant an approach towards enforcement and also focused on intentional, provable discrimination. Also, HUD is proposing, as of January 2026, the proposal would remove its Fair Housing Act and impact regulation under Title 24, 10.500. And the regulation says the Fair Housing Act liability may be established based on discriminatory effect, even without discriminatory intent. And therefore, current Title 24 CFR 100/500 will allow. So on August 10th, the supplemental program also seeks to remove and revise parts of HUD's Title V regulations that prohibit HUD funding and recipients from using methods of discrimination that had discriminatory effect based on race, color, or national origin. What this could mean for Section 8 families, if finalized, the rule would make it harder for families to challenge certain housing policies where evidence shows harmful, unequal result, but does not clearly show discriminatory intent. Possible areas where the impact of base claims can be included would be the voucher screening and admission policies, waiting lists of procedures and policy and preference systems, transfer and relocations, reasonable access assistance, and language access barriers. The public housing and voucher program administration practices as well, sitting or location decisions involving HUD's funded housing, policies that disproportionately affect families by race, color, or national origin. This does not mean that the housing authorities can openly discriminate. It does, however, mean that it does not automatically terminate any one Section 8 voucher, remove a family from the waiting list, or change rent calculations or the estimate reasonable accommodation rights. Protections that remain in place of the Fair Housing Act itself, which still prohibits discrimination in housing and housing assistance, including race, color, national origin, religion, sex, family status, and disability. These protections apply to private housing, public housing, and federally assisted HUD under the HUD Fair Housing Act overview. It's important to consider that HUD cannot erase Fair Housing Act by changing its regulation. According to the 2015 U.S. Supreme Court, recognized that disparate impact claims under the Fair Housing Act in Texas Department of Housing and Community Fair versus inclusive communities in project. HUD's proposal says it wants the court not only HUD regulations, but to determine the future scope for these claims. And that means that legal challenges may continue, but become more difficult or more inconsistent across jurisdictions and more dependent on litigation. Other protections also remain important, including the reasonable accommodations and modifications for people with disabilities, as well as Section 504 disability protections in HUD-funded programs, ADA compliance and protections that are applicable public programs, and BAWA protections for domestic violence survivors, along with many other protections that fall under that. But unfortunately, because of YouTube's policies, I can't mention. Retaliation protections for reported discrimination and exercising housing rights. And HUD's own complaint page confirms that these laws remain separate source of protection under HUD's complaint and protection rights information. Guys, I'm going to put the notes in here because I kind of fumbled this video a little bit. Honestly, I didn't have a lot of rest last night, so no excuse here. Normally, I do very well with my videos, but I certainly dropped the ball a number of times. So y'all, I suppose, just have to forgive me or just talk a little shit about me later in the comments section. I'm okay with that. Things happen, life goes on. Let me say some highs and hellos. The Richie, good morning. Jacqueline, good morning, Jay, for you being here, and thank you for what you do. I certainly try. Today's a tougher day, right? Yeah, but impossibilities, good morning, Jay, and thank you for all you do. Well, thank you very much. I'm glad you guys could join me. I know this is not the most popular topic, but it is what it is. Another thing I mentioned, we did reach 70,000 subscribers. And one person mentioned that they figured I would have had that a long time ago. Look, Section 8 and its topics are not wildly popular. They're not even entertaining, okay? It's not that big of a shock to me that it took forever. But honestly, probably by January next year, we'll reach 100,000. And that took almost 15 years. This is a very obscure topic. There's not a lot of entertainment value. So it's alarming even to me that I would make it a top 1% of all creators by reaching 100,000 probably in a couple of months. It shows you a lot of commitment. I made videos for so long on such a contentious subject that only a small group of people really watch, people that want vouchers. It's for me to leverage this type of audience is pretty amazing considering that's only about 100,000 people will ever reach where I've already reached. And they're making it a much more popular topic. So to be in the 1% of YouTubers on such an, like I said, obscure topic is just amazing in itself. Though that ultimately, when that does happen later in December or January, and I reach 100,000, they'll give me an award, and I'll be glad for it because I poured in now 17 years on YouTube for this shitty award, right? So I'll be glad to celebrate that. But keep in mind, if I was a 12-year-old willing to spray paint my hair purple and drive my bicycle up a roof, I would have already been made wealthy by YouTube. I would have billions of subscribers. But this topic here's tough, and it's not going to get a lot of subscribers. I've got more recently because I've done this so long. I'm almost like a used car on YouTube. So trust me, I know the pain and sympathy with this. I barely get paid shit to do it, but I stick with you guys year after year and decade after decade. So, when you guys subscribe, I appreciate it. It's a tough subject. There were a lot of things I could have gone on about for 15 to 17 years that I would have earned over 100,000 long ago. But here I go, fumbling along after all these years and decades, and finally YouTube's going to appreciate me for what little, and so I'll take what I can get. I was never here for money in this channel. I just want to express that. It's not even about the money. I've been trying to educate you guys, give you the news, and I've been doing it longer than most channels have ever existed. And here we are 17 years later, slowly teeter-totting at the top, but I managed to do it. I've proven the rather impossible. You can take the most boring subject matter ever with the most obscure crowd of people that want to know about Section 8, and somehow I'm going to manage to actually be in that 1% of YouTube that made it. Lots of people have tried and quit. I didn't. Here I am. And for that, I can only honor what I've always done, and that's to educate. Not every video is perfect. Some days I fumble it. You do realize, guys, I was 20 years younger when I started. I'm not the same sharp tool. I owned the company and now I'm mostly retired. I do my best, and I hope you guys appreciate it. Even the ones that don't like the subject matter, anybody can appreciate somebody sticking with it. There aren't many young adults these days that know how to stick with it, right? I'm still here after all these years. And so that says a lot about who I am. Moving on to comments. Thank you all for your comments here. Chocolate, good morning. Tanger, good morning. Mika Jackson, good morning. Mika, thank you for all the prayer hands. Tanger, laughing out loud. Yes, it is funny. Mia, that's nice. It's a popular subject now. Well, after I've dragged Section 8 out of the mud over the years, since the early 2000s, right? Chocolate, just found you and I appreciate you and thank you. I'm seriously, after I hit that 100,000, I'm not going to try that hard after that because the next stop to get an award on YouTube is 1 million. And unfortunately, I won't live to 200 to actually reach that number unless I'm willing to do strip teases in my own video and set myself on fire or spray paint my hair. I might reach 100 million, but I'll just take the 100,000 and be thankful for that. Just walk away with that as my 20-year mission on YouTube, right? Nancy, thank you for all you do and the opportunity and information. Well, thank you very much. Imminent possibility, grateful to you. Find your channel. Glad to have you. Jacqueline, thank you for Karen. Elsa, keep learning so much that I'll be sending you people. I appreciate that. Plaza, I appreciate you. Pivizzo, thank you for laughing out loud. I'll laugh with you guys because honestly, it's almost like I have a loose screw. Who would actually hang out on YouTube and make videos almost 3,000 and burn up 20, almost 20 years of his life doing this shit? I'm being paid peanuts, right? And half the time, you guys talk shit about me, the ones that manage to stay around long enough. So, all I can say is I stick to my guns and I'm still here. I'm like an antique on YouTube. And so this channel is going through a lot of iterations. There have been some difficult times. Y'all see me fat, thin, young, and old. So here we are, just hanging out, right? Linda, thank you very much, Jay, Mr. J, and all. I appreciate your help, and thank you for all the updates. Well, I hope to have some more juicy stuff to talk about. I've done so many breaking news lately that I've broken the news. Right? There's nothing breaking left. All we have is boring topics. Honestly, I need Donald Trump to wake up and do some shit so I can make a nice, fresh, spicy video. But he hasn't been doing a lot lately, so it's getting tougher. We're having to talk about the less interesting things, but maybe we'll have something pop off near the end of the year, and we'll have some more juicy videos for you guys. In the meantime, I'll just have to do the EDUs. Those are the educational videos where 5 or 6 senile people show up and watch the video, right? But I'm okay with that. I don't mind if you're old and senile and want to show up in one of my boring videos, but it's Section 8. What can I say? It's not for entertainment value. There are no strippers, no hookers, no prostitutes, nothing interesting. Just everyday old shit in the channel. So another day we survive with this crap. But I think that it's helped a lot of you along your journey for Section 8, honestly. A lot of you come here and didn't know anything and you've left a lot. And so if that's my legacy after 20 years on YouTube, then maybe I need to go sit down in a bar and think about what I've done with my life. Right. So, look, guys, I've enjoyed talking with you today. And honestly, I hope to see you again. We'll have an EDU for later. So if you're bored out of your mind and miserable, please join that video. If not, we'll see you back for another live in about a day or two. And then we'll talk shit about somebody. Maybe it'll be the housing authority. Maybe it'll be something that's happened in news, but I'm sure I'll have something shitty to say. And I welcome you all to join. And so we can get our updates and get our morning dose of negativity, right? Maybe there'll be more positive news for the end of the year or next year. I hope so. It gets hard just Paul parroting some of the more difficult topics, but shit, what else am I going to do? What am I going to do with my days? All right, guys, let me get out of here before I say a little too much, but I've enjoyed really having all of y'all, and you guys always make it worth it. Between the ones that say nice things and the ones that say bad, you always keep me on my toes. Sometimes you even infuriate me. I have a hard time sleeping. I want to go back in the comment section and correct the heckler, but that's the life of YouTube, right? We take both the healthy and the mentally ill, we mix them all together, and then what we end up with is what we have now. A bunch of Democrats and Republicans are arguing the life and death merits of housing and immigration and Section 8. So it's always just a firestorm and videos and just kind of looking how shit really goes. I'm glad you guys enjoy it because some days it becomes rather contentious trying to make these videos. And so last shout outs for you guys. I gained so much from your channel and have a wonderful day. Well, thank you. But possibilities get some rest, Jay. I definitely need it, with my health problems. But I can't think of a greater way to blow my day than get on here. Uh, uh, G Make says life gets raw sometimes. It certainly does. I come from a generation where, if the house is going to burn down, I'm going to sit in there and watch it burn down around me. I don't give up, and so I see a lot of young adults that don't stick with things. This is a true testament to it. Or either that, or I need to go see the psychiatrist. Maybe tells me I have a mental health problem for continuing to make videos that barely get subscribers, but that's okay. That's Section 8. It was never meant to be hot to trot. Chocolate, did I miss something live? Oh, you're not missing much, but you could be, right? In case it's one of those good videos. But anyways, this afternoon we're going to be talking a little bit about some of the new propositions in the educational video. You might want to join and have your notes ready. And again, I'm going to put notes in all the videos going forward. I have been. It helps out for many of you that have learning disabilities or otherwise. But until then, guys, I'm going to wish you a good day, and we'll see you later this afternoon for the pre-record. Okay, bye for now.